All right, we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Sunday morning, Eagles football Sunday morning. Welcome to Big Facts. I'm your host, Aaron Barrison, along with Justin Everett. Justin, how are we feeling about today's slate of games?
I'm excited for a lot of them today. I think everybody's going to enjoy these picks.
This is a good football Sunday.
It really is.
So obviously we've been doing our analysis, our research for the last couple days. We have lines that we've picked that were from last night from MGM, and they've changed a little bit today. The one that I noticed, obviously, was the Eagles game, and we can start off talking about that. So when we picked our pick for the Eagles game, the line was 4. It's moved to 4.5. The public's a little more confident that the Eagles can do some covering on this. They got some guys healthy. So just injury report, guys coming back. Carson Wentz has been working with what we've been saying and defending him as nothing all season, even though he's had some bad turnovers. So now that this team is being pieced back together, what do we expect from not only this game, but moving forward the rest of the season? And then we'll get back and we'll break down this game.
Well, we said weeks ago that if the Eagles won this division with 6 or 7 wins, that by the end of the season, when health wasn't a factor, they'd probably be able to pull out a win or two in the playoffs because their record looks so bad based on injuries. I think Lane Johnson's big. I mean, every time Lane Johnson is out, I know you cry yourself to sleep the night before.
I do, yeah.
I get it. It's when Lane Johnson doesn't play, they lose. I think Malik Jackson's big on the defensive line. I think Isaac Seumalo coming back in is big. I think the biggest, though, is Miles Sanders. And this is a week where, to me, this is going to be Doug and Carson showing us what they are. Because if they're not, we're going to know immediately. This is just, can Miles Sanders and Carson Wentz put on enough to take out a bad Giants team that's overachieving? That's what I see in this game.
Yeah, so the game today is interesting, and you bring up Miles Sanders. He's finally back from injury. 6 yards a carry he's averaging, and he's still in the bottom half of the league as far as rushing goes. He's not getting the attempts that you want to see. Obviously, we've been screaming at Eagles coaches for the better part of 20 years to run the football more, and we got a back that's backed up Saquon Barkley at Penn State that we just don't seem to feed the football enough to. He's big getting back from injury. Boston Scott's had a really good couple weeks and always fares well when he starts and when he plays, but you're missing that between the tackles running back that at any given point can take this ball 75 yards to the house. So big comeback for them there. Alshon Jeffrey is slated to play. He's going to play somewhere.
What do you think you're going to get out of Alshon, bro? Like realistic expectations?
15 to 20 snaps, a couple first downs. I mean, he hasn't burned anybody in years. Like, I haven't seen Alshon Jeffrey burn a cornerback for a 60-yard touchdown since our Super Bowl year. So the expectations are, we got a guy in the red zone that can convert. We can put him opposite of Travis Fulgham. We have a height advantage if Carson needs to throw the ball up on certain plays, but you don't expect a guy after a year to get more than 15 to 20 snaps that he's not going to. And then when he's out of the game, we're going to have Jalen Reagor in the game. And I like the Jalen Reagor and Fulgham pairing much more than I like the Fulgham and Alshon pairing. But putting Reagor in the slot for those couple plays should be effective as well. Your thoughts on Jeffrey coming back?
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect much. I expect third and short, red zones. He's a possession receiver. I mean, even when he was burning people for 60 yards in 16 and 17, he was still a possession receiver. So I don't expect gigantic numbers. I especially done Patrick Moran, 3 receptions, 41 yards. I'd be happy.
If he got 41 yards today, I'd be ecstatic.
Listen, if I got 3 receptions and 41 yards out of Alshon Jeffrey, I am as happy as a pig in shit. I don't know that. What we don't know is how fugazi and how much bullshit came from the Alshon fighting Carson in the locker room bullshit. If that story was 10% real, I don't think Carson tries to put him into this offense at all. I don't know that would be to Carson's downfall because you've got Miles Sanders back now. Travis Fulgham has shown you a lot all year. You finally have Jalen Reagor back and healthy to see what he can give you as a real wide receiver. I don't anticipate a big game. And to me, 3 receptions, 41 yards is a big game. If I see 1 reception for 6 yards on a big third down conversion to swing momentum, I wouldn't be surprised. 3 receptions and 41 yards would surprise me out of Alshon Jeffrey.
So Rager actually made a comment last week, and it seems like he said since he's been drafted, Alshon's been reaching out to him, helping him out, going over playbook, going over plays. It seems like he's for whatever reason taking on a mentoring role. I mean, you didn't prep Rager to go on any podcasts or live TV and go ahead, or radio shows for that matter, and go ahead and say, oh yeah, Alshon's been great. He texts me every day. Carson, to be honest with you, I don't think one way or another, whether those reports come out or not, he doesn't seem to be shaken too much. I mean, you saw in his last press conference, even when they asked him about like making mistakes and going out on limbs and sometimes making some bad decisions, he's like, yeah, I'm just trying to make plays. It was almost like, I don't really care. That's how I play. I'm going to keep playing like that. And, it sounds like a guy that's confident that he's not going to be losing his job, confident that he's got some guys coming back. Listen, we'll get to this Giants game in a second. Carson Wentz has been sacked at this point more than any quarterback in the NFL. And some of that has to do with him holding on to the football. Some of it has to do with him just getting fouled a couple weeks ago and not having a true possession receiver. His guys can't get open. I get it. You'd like to see the progress with Carson Wentz as far as throwing the ball out of bounds. But there was a statistic pulled up the other day. We watched the game, Justin. We go crazy about this stuff. We're like, Carson, run, scramble, throw the ball away. He has more throwaways than anybody in the NFL. So he's doing some of the things that you want to see him do. He's not getting recognized for it. But this whole Alshon thing, if I get 3 receptions, 41 yards, a big third down play, a couple red zone targets where you have him and Fulgham on opposite sides and 2 corners in man, and they can beat someone, one-on-one because you can't press them down there. Those are the types of things you want to see and have, and that's what we drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside to be. And, he hasn't been that at all. So you don't have a lot of those receivers. So I'm excited to see him on the field. And again, if I get 41 yards, I'm pumped about it.
So let's talk about Carson for a minute before we get to this game, because I agree that this game's an interesting one. I don't like what Vegas is telling me about the Eagles covering further, because I get coming back from injury, but I just don't trust Doug Peterson. So I don't know if did we talk about not the Brett Favre comments, but the Brett Favre comparison. Did we talk about that last week?
That was something I actually saw from Coward. So
I want to ask you a question, okay?
Yeah.
And I asked this question to everybody I work with. I've asked this question to 10 different people. If Carson Wentz turns out to be Brett Favre, do we have the right to be upset about that?
If social media was as big as it is today and everybody had an opinion when Brett Favre was playing, he wouldn't have got a chance past his first couple seasons. Brett Favre, guys like him, and I'm not comparing Brett Favre and Eli Manning, but there's guys that have years where they throw more interceptions than touchdowns. I think the thing that bothers Eagles fans about Carson even more than the interceptions is the fumbles and the holding on to the football. Because if you throw that many interceptions, you can't fumble that much. They lead the league, I believe, in turnovers by a very significant margin. They've been shuffling offensive line pieces. If he has a career that Favre has, you're ecstatic about it. I mean, Favre is a guy that if you told me how his career was laid out, you draft him 1 or 2 overall every single year for the next 2 decades, unless you have a guy like Trevor Lawrence coming out and you think he can win multiple Super Bowls. So you're not unhappy about it. You just like to see quarterbacks progress every year. And by years 4, 5, 6, Favre looked like he was having a little bit more progression than Carson Wentz is having this year. Your thoughts?
So based on that explanation you gave, because I feel very similar. I feel like if I got told the night of the draft that I'm taking Brett Favre and Brett Favre's career at number 2, I still would have been okay with that because there was nothing better at that time.
Yeah.
On that, Brett Favre year 5, 6, and 7, when he started to make progression, how much of what we see out of Carson on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a yearly basis, at what point And by how much does that degree of responsibility go from the coaching and training staff and Carson? Because to me, you know how I am, Ron. You met me in car sales. If personal accountability is number one. If you blame somebody else for a problem that you have the capability of stopping, that's a problem. We've all gone through it in our lives. I'm not any different than anybody else where you wake up one day and go, I have to start getting my shit together. But in a sport like this, where there's 11 guys on each side of the ball, this is not basketball where it's 5-on-5 and single accolades matter. If you're the best player on the floor of a basketball court, you do take precedence. This isn't the same to me. There's got to be some type of harmony between what the general manager builds, both numbers and salary cap and players, what the coach puts out on the field every day in game plan and preparation, and what the players execute. And I look at Carson Wentz, and last night I was listening to Rob Motti, and they were talking about we have a city that is trying to light Carson Wentz on fire and saying that it's Carson Wentz's fault that he doesn't get Doug Peterson's scheme. And we went back in this show, they went back to what he played in 2017. This was still Doug's system. Obviously a little bit different with Frank Reich and DiFilippo, but it was still Doug's overall system. Mm-hmm. How Nick Foles played in 18. There's a lot of success, but there's just as much failure inside of Doug Peterson's system. And I think I'm getting to a point where I really believe that Doug Peterson's wants and expectations for Carson Wentz are just not matching with who he is as a player. And I wonder where you fall in that. Is this it's not Carson or Doug's fault. There's one guy's going right and one guy's going left, and they're having trouble meeting somewhere.
I think that a lot of this does fall on Doug, because I was listening to a former NFL player talk about this last week, and what he basically said was that Doug is trying to run his playbook like he has all his starters in there. And at the end of the day, you can't run the same type of offense with four backups on the offensive line and 3 practice squad wide receivers as you can when Deshaun's out there and Alshon's out there and Jason Peters is out there and the run blocking schemes and the pass blocking schemes and picking up the blitz, and you're running the same type of plays. I mean, you look at some of the plays that are being ran, especially in the first couple weeks, and you scratch your head. Flat plays to tight ends and your slowest wide receiver who aren't going to be able to break that for a touchdown, even if the blockers do their job, because they're just not fast enough. You're not getting the ball into the hands of the speedy guys behind the line of scrimmage. Miles Sanders is averaging 6 yards a carry, and he's getting fed the ball 13 to 15 times a game. So, look, Carson's had he's one of the worst statistically, Carson Wentz is one of the worst quarterbacks in football right now. When you watch the game as a football guy that has been watching the Eagles, he's going to get shit every week that he plays bad no matter what, because this is Philadelphia. We did the same thing with every other quarterback was in there. We did it with McNabb. We did it with Vic for a couple years. We got tired of that. And now we're doing it with Carson. Anytime there's a franchise quarterback behind the line of scrimmage and he has a bad game, people are going to go on social media. They're going to put their opinions out there. They're going to start comparing. They're going to question all the moves the front office has made. Carson's their guy for the rest of the season. The team's healthy, and we just talked about this. We're going to see what they can do together, and if they are on the same page coming up for the next, for the remainder of the season. If these guys stay healthy, you expect this team to make the playoffs and possibly win a game. But that's really the ceiling for this team, unless the defense starts playing so lights out that you think you can start matching up with teams like Seattle and teams like Green Bay, which at this point, the Eagles haven't given you any reason to think they can do that.
So if Carson's their guy, the only reason they drafted Jalen Hurts was in case he got hurt?
In case he got hurt, but, I mean, he's their guy this year. That's what we talked about, right? Like, this year, he's the guy. You're not going to start a quarterback controversy, and you're probably, if he's on the team next year, you're not just going to hand the reins over to Jalen Hurts. The only two things that could happen, and this is what they want to see. Carson's gotten hurt every year. He's gotten knocked out in the playoffs. He's gotten knocked out in the regular season. And so COVID happens. And so the only time you're going to see Hurts this year is if Carson gets COVID or if Carson gets hurt. And the best and worst thing that can happen for this Eagles franchise, the best and worst thing that can happen for Carson Wentz as well, is he gets hurt and Jalen comes in and lights it up. But you have to remember as well, if Carson Wentz got knocked out of the game today, Hurts is coming in and he's got a full offensive line and Alshon Jeffrey and Jalen Reagor and Travis Fulgham and Miles Sanders in the backfield. So we're not even able to compare the same way. Does anybody really think with what Carson worked with for the first 8-9 games of this year that Jalen Hurts would have had this team in a better position than 3-4-1?
No, I don't think that's what it's about, dude, because I don't think that Jalen Hurts is even a thought in that sentence about Carson Wentz. I think the problem is last season, in the beginning of the season, when he had everybody, he was 5-7. And it wasn't until he lost everybody that he took over and became the guy. It's the Tom Brady factor, right? It's the Tom Brady, other than Corey Dillon and Randy Moss. Don't worry, I'll wait. Tell me about another player in a skill position that played with Tom Brady that did anything anywhere else ever. And it's because Tom Brady's a guy that can take Chris Hogan and Wes Welker and Danny Amendola and make these guys look like all-pro wide receivers. Now, Travis Fulgham and Carson Wentz, I would argue at the beginning of the season, were those guys. Carson made Fulgham look like Travis Fulgham made every team in the league mad that they did not find him. That's what he did the first 5 weeks of the season. And hopefully he continues to do in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. But Carson only elevated that guy. And what happened is, and I think is unfortunate, as well as this defense has played against the bad teams, let's not all pretend like Carson didn't score 29 and 28 against Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Carson did as much as he humanly possibly could in those games to elevate this offense to a place where he got them a W. That's what he did. Yeah. And the defense just couldn't compete with an elite level team. So I don't want to take those things away and act like that's not what happened. But Carson does have more interceptions than he's ever had in his career. He has more fumbles than he's ever had in his career. And my eyeballs show me week in and week out, he's not learning more. He's forgetting more. He holds the ball longer. He makes worse throwaways. He takes worse sacks. I don't understand where it is and why it's happening. And again, North Dakota State, Division I AA. I get he's not Trevor Lawrence, who played for a national program that's got all the lights on him and knows all the pressure. I get all that. But we're in year 5, man. This isn't 2 years into his career where we can make up a reason as to why he might be crumbling a little bit under the pressure. This is year 5. He's about to start making $30+ million a year. Less than 6 months from now. And I just don't understand the regression, and that's what bothers me the most.
Yeah, we're going to see the rest of the year how he performs. So that being said, let's get to this Giants game real quick. The line was 4. It's moved to 4.5. Tell me why this game bothers you. I know why it bothers me, but I'll let you start, and then I want to rattle off some stuff for everyone.
Momentum is important in any sport. Even though the New York Football Giants lost to Tampa Bay, they gained a fuckload of momentum from being that close. They didn't destroy the Washington football team, but they handled them. There's serious momentum. And I will tell you, this is a well-coached football team. Yes. Carolina and New York are both blowing me away with how well-coached their first-year coaches are. They've got a bunch of guys that bought in. I think I've said this before on the show. I think Jason Garrett's best position in the NFL is being an offensive coordinator. I think it's what he does the best. There's not a lot of pressure on him to make every decision. All he has to do is keep his offense together. I don't like Daniel Jones. Saquon's out, obviously, and let's make this perfectly clear. If this New York Giants team had Saquon Barkley right now, the Eagles lose this game by a touchdown today. Period, point blank, end of story. This is a team that's got momentum, that's overachieving, that believes in their heart that they can take this division. And this is the first playoff game for the Philadelphia Eagles this season. And what worries me is because of how well coached the New York Giants are and how seemingly poorly coached the Philadelphia Eagles are, if this comes down to execution by players, I think the New York Giants buy their coach more than the Philadelphia Eagles do right now. And that's what gives me pause in this game.
I agree with you 100%. And let's take a look at this for a second. The line, like we said, it's 4.5 points now. It was 4 when we made our picks. So the Giants' start to the season was, and again, at the beginning of the year, you don't know how good teams actually are, right? So they lose to the Steelers, kind of expected that. It was 26-16. They got beat by 10 points. They lose to the Bears, who had Mitch Trubisky and really didn't look good. They lost 17-13. They only scored 16 and 13 and then 9 points against the Niners or next week. So you're like, man, this is a bad team. This is a bad offense. And I think the Niners at that point had a lot of people on injury reserve. I mean, they went out there with their second team and they whooped the Giants' ass. Rams came in and beat them the next week. So remember, by week 4, Just, you and I were making fun of the New York teams. We're like, which New York team is worse? Is it the Giants or the Jets? We now know it's the Jets by a lot. So after those first couple games,
it's the Jets.
They lost by 3 to the Cowboys. They beat Washington by 1. And that was a Cowboys game with Dak Prescott in it. They lost to the Eagles by 1, but remember, they whooped our ass for 3 quarters and 10 minutes, basically. The last 5 minutes.
Figured out how to play in the fourth quarter like he does every fucking week.
So they almost pull out a win against the Eagles. So they lose by 3 to the Cowboys, 1 to Washington, 1 to the Eagles, 2 to the Buccaneers, and then they beat Washington. So there's these 2-point games, 3-point games over the last 5-6 weeks. It doesn't matter who they play close. And you want me to give the Eagles 4 points? I think Giants have a chance of winning straight up, but I'm supposed to also give the Eagles 4.5 points to bet against. I'm not doing that. So you'll see my pick. I picked the Giants, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won the game outright. It's also a division game. There's a lot of times where even if a team is good in the division or a team is bad in the division, they split the series for the year. So none of this is going to be surprising to me. The Giants are also have a defense that's actually playing pretty well. They're 8th in sacks and 5th in pressures. And regardless of whether we have a couple guys coming back, Jason Peters on the left side hasn't showed me anything this year. I've had some plug and play guys at the guard position I feel maybe more confident about than, Isaac coming back and trying to play next to Peters again. And then it's almost like you're putting a line back together with your starters that really haven't played it all together this year either. So we're gluing the line back together with some guys who are first and second string guys. And then also, obviously, Carson's been sacked more than anyone in the league. So I'm playing a team that's 8th in sacks, 5th in pressures, and my guy's been sacked more than anyone. And I'm supposed to believe that we're supposed to beat this team by 6 points to a touchdown. I'm just not buying it. I think the Giants will play us close. If the Eagles win, it's going to be by a field goal, something like 20-17. But this wouldn't surprise me at all if the Giants came, at home, beat the Eagles today.
I don't disagree, brother. I got almost all the same thoughts that you do. I think that this is a coin flip toss game. I made my pick 100% wholly out of hope, just so you know. We're going to take a quick break in a second here. Going to come back and do all the picks. We'll lead off with the Eagles game. I picked the way I did because I got to have hope, Ron. And I'm super excited to get into these picks when we come back from this break because hopefully your head blows clear off your shoulders on live video. It's going to be exciting.
You say some dumb stuff. All right, sounds good.
We'll be back in a couple minutes, guys. All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to get to some picks now. Let's welcome on board our boy Jeff. Thank you for putting our graphics together and being our moderator. I'm sure we're going to need you this week.
That's right.
All right, let's fire away. Number one.
Number one, we're starting off with the Eagles Giants, as you guys just talked about.
So as I discussed right before we went to break, this is purely a hope pick. I want to believe with all of my heart and soul and bodily energy that all of these returns from injury for the Eagles are actually going to make a difference. If you ask me to bet on this game, I would tell you to pound sand. I wouldn't put a nickel on it. I like the hope that the Eagles come back and play well. Kevin Carson, Eagles win by 7. Cool, bro. Let's be right. I hope you're right. I hope so. I'm going to go Eagles -4, and I'm going to do something I never usually do in an Eagles-Giants game. I'm going to go over.
Oh, man. Yeah. I like it. I actually like that. So I'm going with the over, too. I think everybody expects this game to go under, and I think there might be a little back-and-forth type of fireworks going on. I think it's going to be a weird game. The Giants haven't given me any reason over the last 5 weeks to think that they're going to lose to almost anybody at this point by 4. But from what the Eagles have showed me this year, if I have a team that I'm not confident in and I think any one of these teams can win the game outright, I have to go with the team that I'm getting points. So I'm going with the Giants. It hurts my heart. I hope I'm wrong regardless, because I'll be cheering for the Eagles. So if I'm wrong, it's going to be a good thing. But I'm taking the Giants +4 with the over.
Let's all hope you start this week 0-2.
Yeah.
So talk about blowing your mind. When I'm making these graphics, my mind is blown that somebody takes Washington each and every week. When are you guys going to give up on these guys?
All right. So my thing is, I think at some point.
Why?
Okay, let me tell you why. At some point, it's a feeling, and it's because Ron Rivera has been through his treatments this year. Alex Smith is coming back from a gruesome leg injury that you never thought he was going to come back from. And again, hold on, when you have two teams where they're both bad and any one of them can win the game, I'm taking the points. I'm not like, you expect me to bet on the Detroit Lions, you're wrong.
Over or under, nincompoop?
I'm going to go over on this one as well.
Okay, can I have the screen, Jeff? Oh, hold on 1 second, guys. I was choking there for a second. Oh, thank God for Starbucks. All right, so, Alex Smith hasn't played football in 2 years. Alex Smith is your decision? Alex Smith? Alex Smith is part of this decision.
Completion last week.
Everybody watching who watches this, do not put money on Aaron's bet on this game. This is the silliest fucking thing he said in a very long time. And I'm going to say it right now so it's a part of it. I hope this gets clipped for next week because of how passionate I am about your stupidity. And I hope I get to see myself again, and you're right and I'm wrong. I just don't think so. First of all, the level of bad you're comparing is not even close. It's not even close. Alex Smith, who was out for 2 years with a rebuilt leg versus Matt Stafford, first of all, number one, and that's really all I got to go to. Detroit's dealing with some injuries. I don't know that Golden Tate is going to go today because he hurt his knee in practice. You can't. Oh, my God. This is like telling me the Jets are going to win the game.
Golden Tate?
Or not Golden Tate. I'm sorry. Now, see, you got me all fucked up, bro. They're starting wide receiver, whoever it is now. I can't remember his name. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. None of that matters. None of it matters. It's Detroit and the Washington football team.
I know.
Detroit -4 under.
All right, go ahead.
Get me away from this.
Next up, we have Houston, Cleveland, in a potential bad weather game. But it looks like, I checked the map, it looks like it's clearing up by game time.
I'm glad we both agreed here. I couldn't take Houston, Ron. That's all this came down to me, bro. I really looked at this game and thought, I'm not a big Baker fan. OBJ's out for the year. Houston's given up a ton of rushing yards. I don't think in a normal day, with a decent Houston team, I pick them anyway. I couldn't pick Houston in this game, even with points. Cleveland -4 under.
Yeah, agreed. Nick Chubb is back today. I think Baker actually sometimes plays better. It's hard to say someone plays better when their star wide receiver's not in there, but he spreads the ball around a little bit more and seems to play with a little more comfort. Houston's a bad team. They let up a lot of rushing yards, and Cleveland's one of the best rushing teams in the league. I think they're going to break a couple long ones today. I like Cleveland in the over.
Next up, we have Jacksonville, Green Bay in a quite the large line.
Quite the large line is right.
Hold up, though. Everybody understand that the plus and minus are reversed. Jacksonville is getting 14, not giving up 14.
Right.
Good catch.
Before anybody in the world thought that I picked Jacksonville as 14-point underdogs.
Yeah. It's hard to give 14 points to any NFL team. So let me just make that very clear. The Jacksonville Jaguars at this point in the season are one of the most injured teams in the league. Gardner Minshew, although not a great quarterback at this point, won't be playing today. So they're on their backup, which was originally Minshew, and Nick Foles was starting. So technically this is like their third string guy before he got traded. So they're playing Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to just light this team up, and Jacksonville is not going to be able to score. So I like a 17 to 20 point victory for Green Bay today.
I'll wait for you to tell me what Aaron Rodgers has done for you this season to think that he could beat anybody by 17 points, because he's been beaten by more. He's been beaten by more than that. I don't know what's going on with this Green Bay team, bro. If this was a 9.5, 10.5, 11.5 point line, I think 2 touchdowns is the most it goes by. So I'm rolling the dice, bro. I'm throwing out and hoping for a good roll. And I don't think that Green Bay has the heart as a team to crush the soul of another. I don't think they've got it in them. I haven't seen it this year. I've seen them give up. I've seen them go up and then give up. I've seen too many things out of Green Bay that are negatives. Jacksonville has no chance at winning this game, no doubt. Jacksonville's an awful team, probably second, maybe third worst to the Jets being in the worst position. Dude, give me 14 points, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers is any good. I will go over, though.
Now, before we move on real quick, the Rodgers statement is one of the most ridiculous things.
It's not. Go back and watch the games. Who's he won against?
Hold on.
Who's he beat?
Hold on.
Who has he gone out and scored 40 points on? Show me.
Houston, almost. San Francisco.
Almost, or did he? Almost, or did he?
Minnesota, he did. Detroit, he did. They've put up 43, 42, 37, 30, 35, and 34.
And what has the other team scored against Green Bay?
A lot. 34, 21, 30, 16.
14 points is too much. Aaron Rodgers does not have the team with the heart to crush anybody. It will not happen. Period, point blank. Next subject.
Tampa Bay looking to bounce back in Carolina. What do you guys think?
I took your side, Ron. I looked at this game. I said to Luke, sitting 10 feet away from me, I got to take Tampa Bay. Tom Brady, I know, had a bad week. He's going to bounce back. And then I watched Carolina. And I haven't listened to you all year. I haven't paid one lick of attention to what you were telling me about Carolina. Well, because you say too many stupid things. So, listen, I got to tell you, this one I weighed so heavily to be my upset of the week. So heavily I weighed this because I do believe if Tampa Bay's defense plays as poorly as they did against the Saints, this could be a game that Carolina wins outright. Mm-hmm. Robbie Anderson looks like fucking Calvin Johnson right now. They are playing so hard for this coach. I don't think that Carolina wins this game. I think Tampa Bay squeaks by a field goal. I'm going to go Carolina +6 in the over.
These teams know each other. Anytime over the last 20 years that I've seen Tom Brady get embarrassed one week, he's blown out the team the next week. That's also happened this year once.
I agree.
Different coach, obviously, different team, different system. But if you think Tom was in everybody's ear this week saying, I'm going to trade your fucking ass if you don't win your fucking matchup this week, you're going to see every person from Tampa Bay on both sides of the ball win their matchup this week. I like Tampa Bay by 10 points in this game, and I'm going to actually go with the over.
10. Woo!
Yeah.
All right.
But I like Carolina.
Next up, we have Denver at the Raiders.
I mean, Derek Carr.
Don't you dare talk bad about your boy Drew Lock this time, buddy.
Derek's been having a good year this year. Gruden has the Raiders believing that they can beat anybody. You're always due for a letdown when you play a team like the Broncos, but I don't think they're overlooking this game. I don't think Gruden lets them overlook this game. I like Derek Carr to get 300 passing yards today, and I'm going to go with the over on this one as well.
The Oakland Raiders will win this football game by 3 points, and I will win by 0.5 point.
Okay.
I hate Drew Lock. Doesn't change. Can't stand him. Think he's terrible. I've seen too much out of Denver, and I've seen not enough out of the Raiders to believe the Raiders win big. I could be very wrong. This was the one when I was going over my picks before I got him to Jeff for the graphics that I really went back to and looked at. Raiders have been good to me betting all year. I like Denver to only lose by 3. They're not going to win the game, I don't believe. I think John Gruden has this team playing well enough that they'll win this game, but I don't think it's by more than 3 points. I'm going to go Denver plus 3.5 under.
Okay.
Next up, we have Bills, Arizona.
We agree.
Wow, we agree. That's surprising. I think the Bills could win this game outright. I don't know that they can, but I think they could. Josh Allen's good enough to keep plays alive. That Arizona defense has underachieved, in my opinion, tremendously. I think that it's going to come down to Kyler Murray versus Josh Allen, a lot like it came down to Kyler Murray versus Tua last week, and Tua got the best of them. I don't know that this is any more than a 1 point game either side, but I do believe that Buffalo's got a chance. You're giving me points. I'd be stupid to say no to this. And I think that this game goes way over. I think this is like a 35-34 squeaked out by one side type of win.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, the only reason that I picked the Bills this week is, again, when I have two somewhat evenly matched teams and I'm getting points, I go with that team. The other thing is, when you're in a shootout 1 week like Arizona was last week and you come this close and you lose to a team which is a good team, the Miami Dolphins, it's really hard to get up. I thought they were going to win the division this year, and they're on their way to doing it. They're going to catch up. So I like the under in this game. I like the Bills. Give me the points. I just don't think the Cardinals are going to put up another 31-point game this week. Justin
needs a minute.
He can nap if he wants to.
Miami's a good team. What the fuck do you watch every week?
You just don't like Tua.
No, I don't say New England was a good team either. The 6 weeks you spent saying they were going to win the division.
Miami's 5-3, bud.
Miami's 5-3, and Tua has started 2 games. Nobody except for Aaron Barrison thinks that they made the right decision by benching Fitzpatrick. Nobody. Only you do.
And the Miami Dolphins, who have won the last 2 games. Let's move on.
Oh my God. My God.
Speaking of which, 2 rookie quarterbacks, Chargers at Miami.
Oh, fucking course you did. What a shock. What a fucking shock.
A 5-3 team versus a 2-6 team, both well coached. I like Tua obviously a lot more than you. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I love Miami in this game. I like the over. If anybody is looking at what the future of this league is going to be, make sure you watch this football game. Justin Herbert has just blown my mind this year. Drafting him, I think it was 4th, 5th, 6th. The Chargers, I didn't think he was going to be this good. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be this good. Tua, Herbert, good game. Miami over.
If Miami does not make the playoffs, I am going to ask you to commit to wearing a Tua Tagovailoa jersey every single day of the offseason.
I will right now.
Every day.
By 5.
Miami and Tua. Okay. Back to Ration, guys. Welcome back to the realistic corner of the podcast. This is Justin Herbert versus Tua Tagovailoa to me. What I've seen out of Herbert, obviously, I've had more of a game study because he's played more. Tua, again, I said this last week, and I'm going to say it until he burns out of this league in a couple of years like Robert Griffin did. What Tua Tagliavosa get, and don't you fucking dare say to me, he's on an NFL roster. He doesn't matter anymore. Tua Tagliavosa is going to give you a strong week one week and a bad week the next week. That is what he's going to give you, especially once defenses start to figure him out.
Yeah, Chargers are a great defense this year.
They're not. But what the Chargers are is a better offense with guys who have played together longer, and they're starting to get healthy now. This, to me, is Justin Herbert's going to find a way to outduel Tua. That's it. It's that simple. Again, I feel, and I don't give a shit about the record. You can take a record. The Eagles are 3-4-1 and first in the division. Obviously, 2020
they have a losing record.
2020 has also taken the meaning of a record out of fucking football. They're two evenly matched teams. You have subpar defenses. You have young rookie quarterbacks who have shown flashes of greatness. Again, as the logic you've stuck with up until this point, I see two evenly matched teams that either could win. Give me the points. I'm going over. It's going to be a shootout between rookies.
Familiar rivalry here coming up next. Bengals.
Whoa! You're not going to be as shocked as I thought. So everybody, okay? I was going to ask Jeff to cue up a sound, but I didn't get to it until now because I forgot about it till right now. Everybody listening, this is the clip, Ron. If you want one for next week to call me dumb, here it is.
I agree with you.
No, I don't know that you know what I'm about to say right now.
Okay.
This is my upset of the week, and not because of the spread. Because I feel in my chest that Joe Burrow is going to knock off the undefeated Steelers. I think if there is a game the Steelers could lose, it's one that they're going to go into not thinking they need to be on, and it's one where they underestimate the talent on the other side of the field. They give so much up. Talk about bend, don't break. These motherfuckers bend to almost snap. You've got a quarterback in Joe Burrow that spreads that ball so well, that has so many weapons around him, that can move away from TJ Watt and not get wrecked throughout the whole game. I'm calling it right now. The Cincinnati Bengals, I don't need the points. I am going to take them to protect myself. But the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win this game. This is the upset of the week, and off goes the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. Cincy +7 in the over.
If I was going to place a large bet this week on anything that I wanted to make some good money on, I'm taking the Bengals money line, and here's why. Any other rookie quarterback playing this Pittsburgh Steelers defense would probably have a really bad game. Joe Burrow does not play anything like any rookie I have ever seen play football. Secondly, Ben Roethlisberger has been sick this week. It looks like, he got activated. He was on the COVID list. I've noticed that guys, especially quarterbacks that have to run football teams coming off that list, typically don't have very good games the next week. So you're plugging a guy back into the lineup that's been sick this week, that probably hasn't practiced much. Not that Ben Roethlisberger needs a ton of practice. We know he's a vet. They've beat mostly bad teams this year. The Bengals' record is not who they are this year. They are a good football team. They're trending upwards. It's a big rivalry game. I love the Bengals in this. If I wanted to win some money this week, I'm betting Bengals money line. Are
we calling this our mutual upset of the week because you think they win the game outright?
Might never happen again, Just, but I'm
all right.
So Justin has a feeling in the chest. It could be a heart attack, or he could be a football savant. Next game is Seattle at the Rams.
Yeah. So, again, if I think two teams, Seattle's got rust. They have a bad defense. So if you're going to hang your hat and someone's going to be picking the Rams this week, it's going to be because you think Goff can go out there and outduel Russell Wilson. I don't believe he can. I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. I think this is going to actually go under, and a couple of these defenses are going to step up. But if you're giving me two somewhat evenly matched teams, and you're giving me Russell Wilson, and you're giving me points, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks.
Evenly matched teams, everybody except the Miami Dolphins, huh?
Chargers.
So they're evenly matched teams. As much as you want to try to say it's not true, you're wrong. The Seattle +2.5 is the sensible bet for a million reasons. Jared Goff is not a quarterback that goes out and wins you big games. He's proven it across his career. Russell Wilson is the guy that goes out and wins you big games. Seattle's at a point right now where their defense is so bad that they have to start winning games. They just have to find a way there. If it means they've got to score 54.5 themselves, it means they've got to win the game. I'm not going to agree with you in the defense is stepping up because I have not seen a lick of defense played by either of these teams this season. I think that this is, again, just like you said, closely matched teams, similar rosters, similar styles, similar talent. Give me the points at Seattle, but I'm going over.
We have the Niners at the Saints, big underdogs.
All right. This was another hard one for me, brother. This was another difficult one because of what I just watched ancient Drew Brees do against ancient Tom Brady. But that's what it came down to. So the Niners are still not healthy by any means, but they're getting healthier. 9.5 points is too big for me to take away from that team out there, bro. That's just that simple for me. That's why I picked this game the way I did. I'm not taking away from what Drew Brees accomplished last week. He beat the best team in football, second best team in football by 35 points. I don't see him being able to perform at such a high level with the defense and the motor that San Francisco plays with. If this were a 6.5 point line, I'd take New Orleans because I think it's a touchdown game. I think New Orleans is going to win this game by 7. I think it stays in the under because I think this is going to be a defensive game. But I think by 7, I'll take my 9.5 and I'll win with San Francisco.
Yeah, so I just want to start. I actually like the over a lot in this game. So the Saints played Tampa Bay last week, who apparently, from what I've seen, have a pretty good defense. But Drew Brees got Michael Thomas back last week. There is no one on that San Francisco team that's going to be able to stop that offense this week. He's going to go off. They're completely healthy. They're coming off a big win against a better defense in the Buccaneers. I think this is going to be a complete blowout. We also have seen and heard some questions over the last week that within that building, there doesn't seem to be a ton of belief in Jimmy Garoppolo anymore. So we're going to start having these talks about quarterbacks. And, there's injuries on the defense. There's injuries on the offense. And the Saints are just starting to roll right now. So I don't see any reason, even though 9.5 is a big line, that I wouldn't lay it. I like the Saints in the over.
Are we walking back our mutual agreement of the Saints are taking a step back? Do we think that they're holding strong now?
Until they show me something differently in the playoffs. I do this every year in the regular season.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have RG3's Baltimore Ravens going into New England.
Oh,
this is the easiest game all week. Am I right?
2017, Baltimore in the under. I mean, it's like, they're not going to score points. Bill Belichick's great at taking away whatever your best weapon is. The best weapon for Baltimore over the last year and a half has been running the football. If you think they're going to be able to run the football really well against any Bill Belichick team, you're probably wrong. I don't see Cam or Lamar Jackson being able to do enough with their arms to get over how the defenses are going to be playing for each team. Low scoring game, running the football. If it's going to be low scoring and you're giving me 7 points, I take the 7 all day.
I don't disagree with anything that you just said. This was the easiest game for me this week. First of all, I don't care who Baltimore's playing unless it's the New York Jets. I'm not ever taking a -7 on Baltimore. They just haven't shown me that they can be that team. That was problem A for me. And again, you give me Bill Belichick +7 against almost any team, I'm going to take those points. I don't disagree with low scoring. I see a 19-17, 21-17, super low scoring game where both teams are trying to gut out some plays because what is Bill Belichick going to do? He's going to take Lamar Jackson's legs out of the game and the running game out of the game, make him throw the football, which is going to make their defense look great. And Cam Newton's a bad quarterback, so he's not a guy that's going to go out and score 35 if you can't play him right because he's just bad. He's just awful. He's shitty. Bad. He's burnt out. He's not an MVP anymore. He's a shitty quarterback. That's what Cam Newton is. I don't disagree, though. I mean, 7 points in Bill Belichick in the under. You got to take it. I take Pats +7 in the under.
Yeah.
Speaking of shitty quarterbacks, a game I wouldn't touch with a 20-foot pole. Vikings, Bears.
I'm shocked that we agree on this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, dude, I didn't want to not pick the Vikings. Like, I really thought that when I saw this game on Monday, that come the line, I'm going to pick the Vikings. They've done some impressive things. I mean, not in
Yeah.
an impressive fashion, but when you look at the scoreboard, it looks pretty impressive. Chicago's defense is vicious, and Kirk Cousins is awful. I mean, the only quarterback that we've talked about today worse than Kirk Cousins is Cam Newton. So I don't, I'm sorry, buddy. I just can't not. I don't see Kirk Cousins being the difference maker he needs to be to win this game. I think that this is a game where Chicago can win this game outright in another 20-17 low scoring defensive game. I got to take +3 with Chicago. I think they're the better team, and only because I think Kirk Cousins is good enough. I think it's going to go over by a hair. I think we're talking about a 46-point total. So I'm going to take +3 Chicago, a little bit over.
I had trouble with this game. I sat down and looked at it and over-researched and then just went with my gut. And my gut told me, so something happened this week with the Bears that you typically don't see, especially out of a head coach. Matt Nagy waved the white flag and gave his play calling to his offensive coordinator. And typically you don't see guys doing that, but they're struggling so badly on offense, even though they have talented guys on that offense. Some of it can be, Nick Foles' fault. Some of it can be the play calling. We're going to see this week. I think sometimes when you give up something like that, you show your team you can give it up. You give it to the offensive coordinator. He's been seeing something you haven't possibly. Maybe there's a spark lit on the offense this week. Maybe we actually see Nick Foles throw 1 or 2 touchdown passes this week. I don't know. But I like the Bears to win outright. And again, 2 evenly matched teams taking the points. Don't think Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback either. Love the Bears defense. I'm going to go over on this one just in case the switch to the offensive coordinator calling the plays lights up a Bears offense and the Vikings maybe have to keep up with somebody. But no, I didn't. Don't clip that and just put that in its own little box there because that didn't.
You said maybe Nick Foles throws for 300 yards. I almost fell the fuck out my chair.
I didn't say that. I said 2 touchdowns. That's like his fucking ceiling at this point.
Oh shit! That's all the games, right, Jeff?
That's all of them. That's if you guys play a 13-team parlay, listening out there, and you win, you have to share it with these guys.
10%
right, yeah.
finder's fee. Jeff, thank you as always, bro, for the graphics and being a part, man.
You're welcome.
So in summation, I gotta just go over a couple of these with you. First of all, we didn't really talk about it today. I know that you told me you bet it right, and even though you picked it wrong, but yeah. Tennessee -2 was the wrong decision.
Yeah, well, I did text you before that game, and so a lot of times I'll research, and then when I'm looking at the lines right before the game, I'm like, something's going on here. This looks like a good bet. So let's real quick, since we have a couple minutes, watching that Colts-Titans game, and we've both been high on Tennessee the last couple weeks and low on the Colts the last couple weeks, and all of a sudden, Phillip Rivers goes out there and shreds Tennessee. When you watch the game, it really only came down to a couple. It looked like a blowout, like a complete blowout, and it was. But there was only a couple plays. They shanked the punt. They got a punt blocked for a touchdown. The Colts missed a 30-something yard field goal. And then there was like one other play, and I forget exactly what it was that happened. It was a 3-4 plays in that game that just completely ended up with the Colts blowing them out, and they could not stop Phillip Rivers if their life depended on it.
I'll tell you what it was to me. It was Mike Vrabel, who we love as a coach, right? And Frank Reich, who we also, at least me, I love as a coach. I think Frank Reich's got a brilliant offensive mind. It showed me what this league is. One of the top offensive minds schemed up a game plan against one of the top defensive minds, and offense won. That's the league we've got now in the NFL, dude, is high-powered, explosive offenses win football games. Andy Reid in Kansas City. Why is Kansas City so good? Of course, it means because you got Pat Mahomes and all these talented players in position. But to have the scheme to make those guys that good is because it's a high-powered offensive scheme. So to me, watching this game was just that. It was really well-planned, methodical offenses will almost always beat well-planned, methodical defenses in today's NFL. That's what I saw.
Yeah, and I think, it's real easy because we do this podcast twice a week, right? So it's real easy to get on here and overreact every time a team we like wins and a team, we don't like, wins or loses. But if you look at the overall standings, the way we kind of pick these divisions and this league to go at the beginning of the year is really how it's turning out. We were high on the Cardinals. We thought the Niners were going to fall off. The Niners are last in the division. The Cardinals are a game back from Seattle. The Eagles are in front with their division right now. We thought their record was going to be better, but they were riddled with injuries, and they're trying to get back on track. Packers are winning their division. Saints and Bucks are at the top of their division. So, Bills, Dolphins are at the top of their division. Chiefs, this season has played out almost exactly the way we wanted it to. So when we come on here and we overreact and we say stuff, sometimes we pick certain games, the overall outlook and the concept of this season and the way we've picked it has kind of gone according to what we thought it was going to do.
Yeah, I thought that this season was laid out. We do have a couple surprises, right? Like both of us were high on Joe Burrow. I don't think that if we said to each other 8 weeks ago that we're going to pick Joe Burrow to beat an undefeated Steelers team, either one of us would have believed the other. Like we've had some pleasant surprises. We've had some unpleasant surprises. Saquon Barkley getting hurt. We've seen some bad things. We've seen some good things. But overall, there's a lot of stability in this league, dude.
Yeah.
The NFL is very difficult to move around. The reason why I picked Buffalo and you picked Miami was because I thought Buffalo was a hair further along the process of development, and you thought it was Miami that was a hair further along. Yeah. You made that pick in Miami with Fitzpatrick and not Tua. So Who knows how that goes? But there's a lot of stability in this league, dude. Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay, there was no doubt he was competing for a division. San Francisco falling off, I think we saw that happening in the Super Bowl. Like I don't even think that was something that was surprising to people. So it's just paying attention, man. My biggest disappointment, I said it last week, I'm going to say it again, is how underachieving I think the Colts are. Thursday night helped me, made me feel a little bit better, but we were both extremely high on the Colts because we thought that with the young group of guys they had and Phillip Rivers and Frank Reich, that was a team that could make some noise, win 9 or 10 games, and who knows, maybe a playoff game. But we're right a lot, bro. As much as we give each other shit about when we're wrong, usually one of us was right. So we pretty much cover the whole gamut.
Yeah, and I want to make a quick point too. We can say the Colts are underachieving, but they're leading the division, and they just beat their division rival. And real quick, if you want to know what type of league this is, really, it's a quarterback league. Yeah. And so your division quarterbacks right now, the teams that are at the top of the division, Carson Wentz, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, and the Colts. Those teams, for the most part, have the best quarterback in their division. We can argue about some of them, but you can make an argument that every single one of those teams has the best quarterback in their division. So
for sure,
anytime we pick games and you give me the better quarterback in points, there's a very, very rare instances where you're going to see me not pick the team getting points that has the better quarterback. So we'll see how this week plays out. Any closing thoughts on the Eagles and Giants game?
Beware a letdown, guys. Everybody. If they lose this game, don't be surprised. There's a lot of new players coming back, and not that they're new, but like we talked about the injuries coming back, there's a lot of guys that are trying to plug in and gain some cohesion, and that shit just doesn't happen in a game, and very rarely does it happen in a division game. Yeah. Again, I think it's an Eagles win. I picked them to cover 4 points. I think the Eagles win by 7. But if they lost by 7, I wouldn't be surprised. Pay attention to the upset. This is a big fucking week for me. Aaron Berrison agrees with the upset of the week, which never happens, guys. This is history happening. It may never happen again. Cincinnati is the team. If you look out the Steelers' schedule, Cincinnati's the team that's got the best chance of beating them and taking away their undefeated status. It's that simple. Pay attention to that game. There's a couple of good games. I think Seattle's going to be a great game. Yeah. Pay attention. We've got the draft coming up on Wednesday. We're going to try to go live for the draft, so we have live coverage of the draft. We've got trades that get to happen on Monday for the NBA. Keep an eye on the Facebook page. Me and Aaron, both of us together, one of us at a time, might go live to talk about some stuff that goes down. Everybody get excited about Daryl Morey's first draft, dude. I'm hype. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and closing thoughts real quick. So I want to point out, first of all, that the Eagles are due for a letdown. If you actually look at it and look at the dates, they haven't lost in a month. The last time they lost was October 18th, 2 very close wins to not great teams and then a bye. But NBA, real quick before we go, just so everybody knows, because the draft is Wednesday, just announced, tentative schedule. League is going to start December 22nd. All-Star break is going to be in March. Regular season is going to end in the middle of May. There's going to be a play-in tournament for the 7 to 10 seeds, and then you'll have the first round conference finals or conference semi-conference finals, and NBA finals are due for mid-July. But the season will be starting on December 22nd, and trades can begin tomorrow at noon Eastern time. So look for some movement before this draft. We're going to have a lot to talk about Wednesday, whether it's pre-draft or during the draft. I can't imagine that this is not going to be a big NBA season for trades. Take a look at what the Sixers do. Take a look at what the Rockets do. Just let go of their coach. GM left. Westbrook apparently wants out. The Phoenix Suns have to make moves. The Lakers are trying to make another move. The Clippers need to make a move. There's going to be some stuff happening over the next couple of days, and maybe one of us will go live to talk about it. Other than that, go Birds. Hope I'm wrong with the pick. I think the Giants can win this game outright, but I really hope I'm wrong. We'll see how everybody gets here. I'm going to do for a letdown. Giants are due to start winning a couple games because they're executing well. So it is what it is.
Yeah, man, I don't disagree. So everybody get excited. Go Birds. Am I right? I'm with you. And, yeah, we'll see you guys on Wednesday for the draft.
See you guys later.
All right, man.